Wait.
All of you.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your hosts, Thomas Ahrens and Jared Mounts. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening. Welcome back to Fishing the DMV. We got a little live stream action going. And I know with that intro, I really want to do some like Led Zeppelin or some little classic rock, but I know YouTube would demonetize my ass as soon as they hear that first lyric. So we're going to do with what we got there. How's everyone doing tonight? We got a great guest. We're doing our Upper Potomac fishing report with the one, the only, the legend of the river. Jeff Greene, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Good.
So he's also now a famous YouTuber himself. You want to tell the audience a little bit, if they don't know, about that really cool team up you guys did?
Yeah, I did a video with the Bass Brothers on YouTube, and we had a great trip. We fished on the Upper Potomac River. It was mid-spring, and we had an excellent day.
Dude, you caught some slaunches. I mean, some absolute slaunches out there. I mean, that had to have felt really good to have them on the boat with you, cameras going, and then for everything to show out like it did.
Oh yeah, we broke a rod. We killed the trolling motor batteries on that trip. I think it rained on us a little bit.
Really?
And we still got through it.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. So how's business been before we kind of get into the nitty gritty of it all? How's things been going?
Good. I've had a lot of trips. I just had a trip this morning on the Upper Potomac River. I went out to Edwards Ferry, and then tomorrow I have a trip on the Susquehanna River, and I'm going to go out of Goldsboro.
Okay,
I think they call it Lake Frederick, but it's part of the Susquehanna River. It's just backed up because of the dam system.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So right now on the Upper Potomac, where do you generically go out of in the summertime? If people want to have success now, does it fluctuate where you go?
Well, the water levels are going to dictate where you're going because it's so low. So right now, for instance, let's say if you go out to Edwards Ferry, it's starting to get a little sporty at about 3.5 feet.
Okay. At
the gauge, and then you go to let's say Point of Rocks. Point of Rocks is reading 1.7.
Wow.
So that's low. I went out of Point of Rocks yesterday and went downriver, and we did pretty good.
How'd you guys get? Did you catch them pretty good? What was the big?
Yeah, a lot of smaller fish though, because it's summertime. But we still caught a few that were 14, 15, 16 inches long. We got one walleye.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they really showing up now?
Yeah, I mean they show up from time to time. That was the only one we got. I was surprised that we caught that walleye.
Really?
Yeah. Because the water is 81 degrees.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. What does it usually get up to in the summertime right now? And can the water get too hot?
Well, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it last summer. I saw temperatures of 86 degrees.
Wow.
So you definitely have to get on the water early and get off early.
Okay.
4-hour trips.
So really, if you want to get out there and you want to fish on the Potomac, you really got to be looking at kind of starting in the morning, getting that early bite or getting that evening bite then.
Yep.
So then, yeah, honestly, just take it away. Like with the Upper Potomac, I mean, I would thinking like we could start at Harper's Ferry and work our way down just with generically just kind of information, if that works for you.
Yeah, sure. So like I said, let's see here. Like I said, Edwards Ferry right now is reading at 3.6. You've got Point of Rocks, which a lot of people go off that gauge, is reading at, I'm sorry, Edwards Ferry is 3.6. And then, what did I say? 1.16 at Point of Rocks. The water from the mouth of the Monocacy down on the Maryland side is borderline dirty.
Really?
Because the Monocacy River a couple nights ago, and one night went up 4 feet from a storm we had further north.
Okay.
So it's just pumping out mud. But if you get above the mouth of Monocacy, the water clears up to an extent. It's still stained, but it clears up. We're catching fish on big structure, like rocks, anything that's man-made, and trees. If there's trees out in the middle of the river, fish those. And we're just using small plastics. This morning it was a no-go on top water. I think the water's just too stained. Maybe on the Susquehanna they would hit. I've seen them hitting almost brown water on the Susquehanna on top water lures, but on the Upper Potomac River, they just don't like it.
So right now, just for the summertime, we're in July now. How good is the topwater bite? Generally speaking, if the water conditions are favorable, is that something that you should always lead with, or do you actually go
Yes.
subsurface? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where you're going to catch the big fish in the morning or in the evening, is with one of those topwater lures, a whopper plopper, a popper, popar, or some type of prop bait.
What sizes do you generally start with?
The poppers, anything right around, I don't know, 2.5, 3 inches long. And the whopper ploppers. Oh, and the buzz baits. Buzz baits are like 3/8 ounce, ½ ounce. And the whopper ploppers, those are they the 90s and the 75s?
Okay, so you go with the little bit smaller ones, then you're not going with the big ones. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I just go with dark colors and natural colors.
So black and white, or would you?
Yeah, black and white.
Black and white. Okay. So then, gearing off that and continuing, are the fish right now, are they more positioned dead center of the river? I mean, where are they really located right now?
Yeah, in the middle of the river.
Middle of the river?
Yep. I mean, if you can find a piece of structure that's just in size and it just dominates the river, when you're going upriver or downriver and you can see it, and it's just the biggest thing out there, there'll probably be fish on it.
Okay.
And the spots that I'm finding fish, I'm finding 5 or 6 fish in a spot.
Okay. And then guys, just hey, Jeff is with Shallow Water Adventures. All of his information will be linked in the episode description if you want to go out with him. He actually works the Susquehanna River and the Upper Potomac River. Upper Potomac that we're talking about, I could be wrong, let me know if I'm wrong, is really from Harper's Ferry to Great Falls, and then you have Harper's Ferry to about Dam 4, Dam 5, if I'm not mistaken. That's kind of how we break the river down. And then you operate pretty much the whole Upper Potomac, correct? Or do you generically stay to the lower end of the Upper Potomac?
No, I stay from anywhere from Seneca Creek, which is Riley's Lock, all the way up to Dam 4.
All the way to Dam 4?
Yeah, and there's a section I don't run because it's you're going to require a whitewater raft to fish out of right around Harper's Ferry.
Oh my God, dude, that thing is brutal, especially when it doesn't rain. Oh my God, you have to use some kind of raft or a kayak to get through there.
Yep.
But I hear the rumor is apparently there's some banging walleye and some big smallmouth, right where the two rivers converge, but there's no way you can get to it. I mean, that's an adventure to try to get back into there.
Well, I mean, if it got low enough, I would say the best way to do it would be to just wade the river.
That's true. And hey, guys, in the comment section below, how many of you guys actually wade the rivers nowadays? Because I know we have Goose Creek, Conococheague, Upper Potomac, Shenandoah. We have smallmouth country galore around this area, which is really cool. So yeah, let us know how you actually fish this time of year. I know I get completely inundated with people. They're saying I want to talk about creeks and rivers, whether it's Shenandoah, Upper Potomac. This is what people like to do in the summertime: is wade, kayak, boat, everything on our river systems around here. And with that kind of in mind, what are the perfect conditions that you would look for if you could have your perfect day on the Upper Potomac? What are you looking for when it comes to the flow of the river, the air temperature? Do you want it cloudy? Do you want it clear? What do you want?
The weather comfortable. I don't know, 75, 80 degrees, no humidity, cloudy, almost looks like it almost wants to rain, and you want clear water. Not crystal clear water, but you want clear water.
Okay.
And in those areas where it's clear, you want to have the water. If you're talking ideal, if you're ever on the river and you're on it and you're going through shallow water and you get to these deep holes and it turns like green water. You ever seen that before, where it's green and it goes clear again? Mm-hmm. Those kind of conditions. Okay, very little wind. Yeah. So,
why would you not want any wind? Just for our audience at home, the river.
If it's going to be low, and you start getting waves on the river, it's dangerous to run. You
Okay.
can't see the rocks anymore. You can't read the water. You'll hit one of them.
Yeah, because so the way the river works, guys, is when the wind usually will blow straight down, because like with the Upper Potomac and the Shenandoah, there's like on a lot of sections there's a gorge and it's a straight shot of the river. It doesn't wind as much, at least in the sections that we're talking about. And so when that wind blows, it's going to blow straight down, and it'll make it rip. And there'll be, they can get whitecaps on there. When I was fishing a tournament about 3 weeks ago now, it was a kayak tournament, and I picked the Shenandoah, the main stem. In the section I was fishing, the wind was blowing straight down hard, and it was whitecaps. It was insane. And so that's something where if the wind blows hard in that river, it can get really nasty real quick. And so if you're floating it, just be mindful of the kind of winds that you're dealing with, because it'll make that water turn like chalk colored. It's insane.
Yeah, it's it's nothing. If it's real windy, down by Edwards Ferry, that section of river from Edwards below White's Ferry down to Edwards gets real bad. I guess it's the way the river runs. I mean, it runs probably pretty much true north and south. Mm-hmm. And when the wind blows, you'll get 1.5 to 2 foot waves, and those are nasty in a jet boat.
Oh yeah, that's really nasty. With this time of year and the water, generally speaking, being lower, what is a typical day out with you? Like, what can people expect to catch?
Size wise, quantity.
Yes. Yeah.
Right now, on a good day, we're catching somewhere between 20 and 30 fish.
Oh, wow.
We'll catch smallmouth. Smallmouth are usually ranging somewhere between 10 and 15 to maybe 16 inches. But if we're out there early enough, we could catch one that's 18 or 18 plus early in the morning on topwater bait.
Oh, dang. Okay.
I mean, and that's, the only reason I would throw topwater bait to begin with is just to catch a large fish. I don't really consider it a numbers thing. We would use a lot of plastic baits, tubes, Ned rigs, Senkos, and we would hit these, the structure. And then if they're concentrated enough in the middle of the river in certain areas, we'll just float. And you can just pick them off one by one that way too.
How much do they stack up this time of year? Is it a situation like in the wintertime where you can have one hole that you sit in all day? Are you running and gunning a lot more than others?
No, we're moving. I mean, I'm seeing spots where we're catching 6 fish out of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then moving. And then I'm saying we're catching 6 fish and we've probably missed 4. So I don't know if they're the same fish, but I mean, that's a total of 10 fish.
Yeah, no, that's.
And then we'll move to the next hole and maybe catch 3 or 4. And then the next hole, 2 or 3. And then the next hole, 4 or 5, something like that,
How do the fish set up this time of year in the summertime? Are they sticking in the deeper holes? Are they in the riffles? Like, what have you been seeing generically where they like to set up?
They're going to be out in the middle. They're going to be in moving water.
Okay.
And they're not going to be far away from some type of rock structure, cement, something like that. They'll be in the seams. And they're always on the bottom. They're not, they don't swim they don't swim in the middle of the river or in the middle of the water column or anything. The river smallmouth are always on the bottom.
Okay.
So you want to be making contact with the bottom at all times with plastics, unless you're swimming a swim bait or something like that.
No, that's really good, because I think like people really need to understand like a river is different, the way it acts compared to a lake, and the way those fish actually set up compared to it. And what size of the eddies that are you generically trying to look for and pick them out of? Is there a certain size that you're looking for?
No, I mean, you could get behind some wimpy looking rock that has, that's making a current break, and there'll be 3 fish behind it. So, preferably bigger rocks, and they're usually going to take that bait at the current seam when you throw it in, and then usually what you want to do is throw it out and let the water and let it drift in the current. So you want to use lightweight. You want to use something that's 1/16 ounce to an 1/8 ounce, and that's about it. People always, not always, but a lot of people fish with me like, I can't feel the bait on the bottom. Well, that's the whole point, because if you feel it, like if you had 3/16 ounce on there, it would snag a lot more.
And you have a special hook that you like to use, right? A special hook setup compared to other people?
Yeah, I use a slider.
You have
head.
one there? You have
Yeah.
one right there? You want to show everybody?
Yeah, slider head. Here, show you. It's made by Charlie Brewer. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, and guys, so all this tackle is actually available. He actually produces this stuff. You can actually go to his website. All this stuff will be linked in the episode description down below. But that's really important to make sure you match the weight to the type of current and the depth
these are the this is the company right here.
Slider. Okay.
And I have I'll have them available by the end of hopefully by the end of this week.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome, dude. And actually, yeah, not to try to pivot away from this, but the last time we talked, you were trying to get everything up and running. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I have an online store that's linked to my website or my guide service, and it's called SWFA Baits. And everything that is on that website, I use. So I anything that you would purchase, rods, line, jig heads, plastics, I use them. That's what we use when we on the guide service. And I guess at some point in time, maybe I'll sell other stuff, but it's easier just to have the stuff that I use because I'm confident in talking about it and I know how to use it. And,
that's what's so good. It also diversifies what you can actually make money on too. Like it's not just guiding.
Yeah. Yeah. Like right now, these slider heads, just to give you an example, these are 18. These are the bulk packs. These are 18, and that's what I sell. I just sell the 18 packs. And I sell a 16th ounce and an 1/8 ounce.
What if people had to pick one size to buy? Which one would you
16th.
suggest? 16th ounce?
Yeah. And the 1/8 ounce, I use that on lighter plastics. For instance, I'll have this on the website eventually. One of these, you've probably seen these before. They kind of look like Helgramites.
Put your hand behind it. Put your hand behind it so we can see it with just the background. Black bait, black shirt. There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, dang, that thing is gnarly looking.
Yeah, and I throw that. There's not much meat on it. It's pretty light. I throw that on a 1/8 ounce slider head.
An 1/8 ounce. Okay.
Yeah, they really like that when the water's warmer, and it just seems slow. They like that slow presentation.
And then I'm going to ask him guys real quick, like what his tackle setup is, but I can see that we had 14 to 20 people watching. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, that'd be huge. It'd really help out the algorithm push us out to more people. We have 4 likes right now. I really want to get that up to 10. I know we have enough people watching. Let's try to get that happening here. So Jeff, what tackle setup are you throwing this on? Like 80-pound, like monofilament to like a braided leader? Like what is the tackle setup this time?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll grab it real quick. So
yep, no problem. And then we'll get right
these
here.
are the brands right here. I'm using this stuff right here for the braid, Gamma.
Okay.
Don't mind the that's the heaviest I go, but I have it available at 25 pounds.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get right there. This stuff right here. And then for I'm also selling Gamma fluorocarbon. It's very good, but I want to get my hands on this stuff. If anyone's ever used this type of sunline.
That's the sunline Visex, Invisible.
Yeah, it's got the camo colored line. That's not the reason why I like it. It's just happens to be what the line looks like. This stuff right here. This is 8-pound test on a trip this spring. Did you see that picture of that muskie?
Yeah,
that line right there. That's the leader line that kept that muskie on. Oh, and wow. There's been other larger fish, carp and other muskie over the years that that line just doesn't. It's very good. Very reliable.
Okay. Yeah, guys, I can't complain about Sunline. I use Sunline for pretty much everything. I really love it. And especially if you guys learn how to tell, like, there's many different knots out there. I prefer the FG knot. The double uni is good too. You can get braid. It'll last you longer. And then you can go the fluorocarbon or monofilament leader, and that can actually save you money in the long run. So I highly suggest trying to learn to tie that type of knot just to kind of maximize your budget.
Yeah, the fluorocarbon, I use the fluorocarbon on all the finesse stuff, the plastics, smaller baits. But I like using monofilament on crankbaits, spinner baits, chatter baits, and all sorts of topwater baits. And I feel like that monofilament, it has a stretch to it. And when you're reeling in one of those larger baits and a smallmouth hits it, I feel like it's a little bit more of a shock absorber. And, it floats too. So it helps with those baits move through the water a little bit better, because we don't want everything sinking to the bottom, because we're only fishing in like 3 or 4 feet of water.
Yeah, there's like not a lot of depth too. And you're going to how light are you going to go with your leader material? Because I know some insane people go down to like 4-pound test. But like, what do you prefer?
I've gone down from 6 to 10. I like 8 pound. You can see it right there, 8 pound.
8 pounds number one.
Yeah, and then if you want to get sneaky enough with them in the summertime, it gets real clear and real low. You could spool your entire reel with fluorocarbon.
Okay.
All right, that's a thing that some guys do.
Yeah, that's actually, guys, that's a really good tip down there. Is when it does get super gin clear, going with just go full fluorocarbon. Just go with that lighter line, because I know a lot of times for the guys that at least I know, when we had this big kayak tournament here, and you have all these people that are used to fishing the tile Potomac, and they're coming with 50-pound braid and like 20-pound mono, and they're like, "What should I do?" It's like, well, first you got to leave all that crap at home, because it's not going to work. You're not going to get bit, because these fish are smart too. Like these smallmouth in these rivers, when it's gin clear like this, and this is a question I have for you, but I'll wait on that one in a second. They know you're coming. They know where you are. And so you need to be stealthy, and that's on your presentation and how you approach them. And that's something too, when you're fishing out of this jet boat, let's say you're going downriver to hit a spot. How do you approach the juice? I'm assuming you can't just blast over it, lock right on it, and then like fishing right away, because it's probably going to spook them. Like, how do you approach a spot? Do you kind of come in behind it by 100 feet and then slowly work your way up?
Yeah, probably. I probably stop about 30 yards for most spots, and then roll up to them. And I stay as far away as I think we need to be, to cast into that spot, depending on how light the baits are. Some of these plastic baits aren't going to go that far. Okay. So you have to adjust accordingly to that too.
Gotcha.
But super clear water, you're going to have to, you're going to have a leader line that's at least a rod's length long. And you want to make as long of a cast as you possibly can. So if that means going from a 16th to an 1/8, maybe you want to go to an 1/8 ounce instead.
Okay. That's guys. So about 4 to 6 feet on your leader material. You can go longer, of course. It doesn't have to be like at least 4 to 6 feet. And I would assume it's also, so if you break off, you have some extra, so you don't have to just retie your whole leader material. One question we have is from Greg Plank, coming in late. What are we talking about? We're talking about the Upper Potomac right now. And guys, I know we had 15 and we're fluctuating between 15 and 20 people. If there's a specific part of the river you want us to talk about, please let me know in the comment section below, so I can have Jeff kind of answer your specific question here. We've kind of already gone over the generic stuff with the Upper Potomac right now. We're going to get into the baits for the Upper Potomac that you need to be throwing, just to kind of reiterate that. And then we're going to switch to the Susquehanna River here before we just kind of do a Q&A with Jeff to answer all your questions. So really, if you had to pick right now, if you're fishing the Upper Potomac, and we'll get into Susquehanna because that's just a little bit of a different monster, what are the top 3 baits you wouldn't leave home without?
A tube, 2 3/4 inch tube, the Ned rig, 2 3/4 inch, stick bait, or a Ned, some type of Ned bait that's, less than 3 inches. It can even be like a creature bait, and a Cinco, 3-inch Cinco.
3-inch Cinco, dang. Okay, so you're doing all bottom bumping. I like that. A lot.
Or you can go with the 4-inch Cinco.
Why not the 5-inch or 6-inch?
I think it's just too big.
Okay.
I personally think it's just a little too aggressive for those fish. I think they see it, they're like, ugh, I want to eat something that's a little bit easier to mess with,
I'm sorry, sir. Brandon Solis, whatever your last name is. Sorry, sir. Would you rather throw a Ned rig or tube on the river this time of year?
Probably a Ned rig right now.
Do tell.
Because I can set it up so it's like Texas rigged.
Okay.
So it's not going to snag.
Okay.
So when I'm answering that question, I'm answering that question for people, everyone as a whole. The whole whoever's watching and other people that will see this. Because tubes, if you don't fish tubes very much and you're using an exposed hook, you're going to get snagged quite a bit, and it's frustrating.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you there. No, but that's really good to know, guys. So Senko, tube, Ned rig this time of year. Those are the top 3 baits that you're going to need. Go with a lighter head so you don't get snagged up. 8-pound test fluorocarbon really to start with. That's kind of the baits on the Upper Potomac. If there's a specific area, again, you want to talk about the Upper Potomac, please type it in the comment section below and we'll get to that specific area. Let's see. We got a couple of questions here, and then we're going to switch to Susquehanna. We got, let's see, Daniel N. Question. Is the area below Millville Dam any good for wading or kayak fishing? I know there are a lot of people there tubing.
Yeah, probably below the Millville Dam. I don't fish the Shenandoah, but I would suspect, because I'm out on the water all the time, during the week, go out there with your kayak or wading, or wade, and you'll probably find success, because the Shenandoah's been fishing very well from what I understand.
Shenandoah has been fishing well, and Daniel also added to it. He's got 2 down here, so I'm just going to condense them, Daniel, into basically 1. Which areas of the Potomac River or the Shenandoah are best for wading / kayak fishing?
For wading, you're going to have to get on for the Potomac, you're going to have to get on you'd have to get on the C&O Canal, the towpath, if you're in Maryland, and walk it and start looking for areas where you can enter the river, shallow. I would say one area that would probably be a good start would be around Lander Boat Ramp. That water gets real rocky and real shallow, and you can wade out into there. And then anywhere from below the mouth of Monocacy River boat ramp all the way down to Edwards Ferry. I mean, that's a long ways, but you can enter the river pretty much anywhere there, walk all the way out into the middle.
Okay, guys, that's a huge point, that if you have a bike or something like that, you can just throw some gear in a backpack, and with that towpath, you do have access to a decent amount of the river, and you can be able to pedal and find a decent area to actually fish from. So that is huge. That's really good advice right there for our bank fishermen. And also, like honestly, any of the whole trail system, because I know it goes all the way up to Williamsport and beyond. So you can pretty much on that Maryland, West Virginia side, you can just go all the way and try to find some good places to actually bank and wade fish in there. So Daniel, I really hope that helps a lot. Greg, we're going to get to your question too, living in PA about the Susquehanna River. We got a couple more. Good Lord, you guys are just banging out the questions. Did not think that it'd be this lively tonight. So anyway, like before we get bogged down on all the questions, the Susquehanna River, the scary thing. You don't just guide at the Upper Potomac, you actually guide at the Susquehanna too, right?
Yeah, I do. And the Susquehanna is scary low right now.
Is it really?
Yeah. If you're talking about wading and you live in Pennsylvania, or you want to go up there and try it out and you've never been to the river, and you live down my way, in the DC or Baltimore area, this is the time to go up there. I mean, that water's scary low around Duncannon and further north, all the way down to Harrisburg. I mean, you can walk all the way across that river and probably never have it go above your waist.
That is so crazy how you can have those 2 rivers, and they're not that terribly far away, but yet 2 different rain patterns affect them completely differently. One's completely low. The other one is just, is chalky and up a little bit. That's just completely insane to me.
Yeah. It's the Susquehanna is the area I'm going to fish tomorrow is in Goldsboro. I don't know if I've said that. I think I told you before we started. Goldsboro, Pennsylvania. There's an area near the where the old power plant is, and I fish that area when the water's too low because it backs up from the dam.
What are really for our viewers at home that don't know? Compare and contrast the Upper Potomac and the Susquehanna.
The Susquehanna's a lot more dynamic when it comes to the bottom of the river, the rocks, and I think it flows. I believe it flows probably twice as fast as the Potomac River at any given time. And it's wider. They're both about the same length. They're about 400 miles long, but they're but the Susquehanna is a lot wider, and the Susquehanna can take a lot more punishment when it comes to heavy rain. Okay. And then you can get on one side and it's brown, and the other side's clear, and you can still have a great day fishing.
That's so crazy. Like, I just think like the Upper Potomac, at least where I am, it is so relatively small. I can't imagine like the Susky, and I've driven over it a couple of times, but to be able to fish that and have that close to you to be able to navigate, it just got to be so much fun.
And that river's so, the fish are so aggressive, and it's such a good river to fish. So you could fish on the other side with like plastics, the clear side with plastics and type finesse type stuff because the water's so clear. Then you can go over to the other side. Depends on the west, east, or west side, and then you can go to the other side and start throwing spinner baits because it's dirtier water, and you can catch them with spinner baits.
That's stupid.
Because they're still fish that no matter, even if the water's borderline brown or dirty, there's still fish over there for some reason. You'd think they'd all move to the clear side and they would just bombard one side of the river, and it would just, it would be it'd be fish everywhere on the clear side. But there's not. Some of them just hang out in that dirty water, and you can nail them with spinner baits and chatter baits and stuff like that.
So if you had a gun to your head, you're just fun fishing. How about that? Let's do that. You're fun fishing. What would you rather go after, dirty water or the Jet and Clear bronze backs?
Probably the clear. Probably the clear water.
Why?
I think you catch more fish.
Okay. I'd have to go. I don't know. Like smashing them on a spinnerbait though, dude, is just pretty fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's nothing like catching fish on a spinnerbait. I mean, it's just violent when they strike it. Chatterbaits are fun. Topwater's fun, but there's just something about my favorite way to fish is with a jerk bait. But all these baits are situational. You have to have the right situation to be to come out on top with them. I mean, if you don't have the right situation for topwater, you're just not going to do well. And it goes for any bait. But man, those spinner baits, they just nail them, just absolutely annihilate them.
Right now on the Susquehanna, like what is your game plan? If somebody wanted to go to the Susquehanna that's not native to there, like let's say they do have a boat. Let's start with that premise there. What is some advice that you can give them for right now with the state of the river? It's shallow. It can be clear and dirty. What do you think they need to keep in mind?
You mean bait wise?
Bait wise, yeah.
I would keep moving. I'd keep crankbaits on the boat or on your person, depending on how you're going to fish, and all these small plastics that I'm talking about. And maybe if the water's dirty, just go up to a 4-inch Senko instead of a 3-inch Senko because it moves water around a little bit better.
There you have it.
Spinner baits, crankbaits, and keep chatterbaits and available.
So the chatterbait actually plays on the Susquehanna.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna piss off like a lot of people that you just said that.
Yeah, it works. It works good.
Got a couple of questions.
But like I said, they're all situational.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to have the right conditions, right situation, or they're just not going to work. People tell me when they fish with me, they're like, well, I've never caught a fish on a tube. Or I shouldn't say tube. The tubes are a 365-day year thing. You can even catch fish in dirty water with a tube. But spinnerbait. Well, I've never caught one on a spinnerbait. Well, that's just because no one showed them how to use it correctly, when to use it, On a river system like the Susquehanna or the Potomac, when those things shine is when the water comes up, when the water rises. And you still have some clarity. Even if you don't have much clarity, you just hit the shorelines. The water's always clear in the shallow water, So the shallower you go, the clearer it's going to get. And start hitting them with those spinner baits with like Colorado blades.
Interesting. I never would have thought of doing that.
That thump. They'll hit it, and then if it's stained and there's some visibility, I just go with the willow leaf type blades.
Bob Browning has, what length action do you favor for fishing braid? Do you crank down your drag or like to loosen the drag for braid?
I like to keep the braid or keep the drag as like to keep it loose. I like to keep it as loose as when I set up a rod, I want the drag to be loose. When you go to set the hook, let's say you're using a Senko or something like that, right? When you go to set the hook and you pull back, and I want to be able to hear that drag. That's how loose I want the drag.
Good deal there. No, like, that's the thing too, is you got to experiment. It also depends on the gear ratio you have, what type of drag system you have on the reel that you have. Walmart brand is not going to be as smooth as, let's say, like a Shimano Stella. system. So just really keep that in mind. But again, like guys, please drop a like for this man here. Make sure you really follow him on his social media as well. If you have a question that you really want to answer, please let us know in the comment section down below so we can get this out of there. We're going to try to wrap this up around 8 o'clock. So please get all your questions in by then. Jeff, is there anything else about the Susquehanna that you think we need to touch on?
No, just be careful when you're operating a boat on it. I mean, tomorrow I have no dreams and ambitions of even getting on plane. I'm going to be putting around everywhere I go. I mean, that river is, you have to have a lot of respect for that river. It's Potomac River too, but the Susquehanna River will ruin your day. It'll ruin your boat too. So just be very careful.
With the Susky being so wide and such a big freaking river, how do you break that thing apart to know where to start?
Okay, go ahead.
No. Finish.
To break it apart, I kind of see it as the boat ramp locations that I go out of. So you've got, for me, you got Goldsboro, and you can only go so far up the river on Goldsboro, or I do. And you got that whole area right there. And then the next area up is City Island. And then I kind of break that up. And then north of City Island, you have this this area called the Natural Bridge, which is a ledge system that goes across the river. Mm-hmm. And then from there all the way down to City Island is another section. And then above that ledge system is Fort Hunter. And then you have Fort Hunter. Fort Hunter's right now is probably awful with rocks.
Okay.
And then, so on. And as you go up, and then from Fort Hunter, the next spot that comes to mind would be Duncannon in that area.
Interesting. Okay.
And then you just break them up that way. And a lot of my success guiding on the Susquehanna is around Duncannon and the Juniata River.
And that's really important to know, guys. There's multiple rivers actually feeding into the Susquehanna. And then really just to basically don't just settle into one area. Keep an open mind, move around a lot, move from the clear water to the off-colored water. Try different baits until you kind of get dialed in on a specific bite. Let's see. And then we do have some questions answered before we get this guy out of here. Let's see right here. What is this question? How much are the catfish, Brandon Solis, how much are the catfish affecting the Potomac River right now?
Which catfish?
I'm assuming, Brandon, do you mean flathead or the channels? Because I know the flathead are becoming a thing on the upper Potomac. And that's actually, Jeff, have you seen a lot of flathead catfish?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Yep.
How bad is it getting?
Not terrible, but they're there. And some of them are pretty good size.
Yeah, because I know
catching them on plastics.
I know Dam 4, Dam 5, there's a bunch of them. So we got another question on Facebook here. Jason Neilberg. What are you angling for? I live near Algonquin and I try to see what people get. So Jason, I know, and this is the interesting thing too about where we live is we get a lot of people that actually kind of move into this area that it's so weird. You have the city meeting fishing. And so there's so many people in Northern Virginia that want to actually get into the sport and they don't know where to start. So for the upper Potomac, and Jeff can stop me if I'm wrong here. You have smallmouth, you have crappie, you have catfishing, carp, everything is in the upper Potomac. So if you want to go out there, you can catch a little bit of bluegill too. So you can catch a little bit of everything out there.
Yep. I had a trip recently where I took a little kid and his grandfather out, and we were catching bluegill. I found a tree. It was in Goose Creek. I found a tree that had bluegill bigger than your hand on it. So that was fun.
How are the crappie? Have you found the crappie yet?
I haven't found any crappie yet. It's going to take a while. Those smallmouth are a full-time job to stay on top of. Mm-hmm. Those suckers just move around constantly.
How hard are they to stay on top of? Generally, is it they move every single day, or is it usually a weekly movement?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel like yesterday we didn't have a problem finding them. Today I went back to a couple spots where we caught several fish, nothing. So I don't know if it has to do with the water, the clarity of the water from the Monocacy. Making the water a little bit dirtier than it was the day before. But Yeah, they move around, and then there was a rock yesterday that had a couple fish on it that didn't have any fish on it the day before.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I mean that's river smallmouth though. That really is. Let's see, just checking chat through here. Looks like I think we got caught up on all the questions, which is awesome, sweet. So yeah, let's see. Bob Browning, could you let me know? Are you talking for spinning reels or spinning rods? Please let me know. Or spinning rods or bait casters? Like what setup are you guys talking about? I can try to get that question answered too. Yeah, I mean before we let you go tonight, I know we're trying to keep this tight. Give me one story to leave with everyone with. You gotta give me one story from this year being out on the water.
one story. I think I've already told you the muskie story, right?
Yeah, you told me the muskie story, but come on, you gotta have some other.
Well, no, I have a story that happened a couple years ago. You just mean a funny story?
Yeah, I want a funny story.
Okay, this is a few years ago. I had a guy, and he came out with his brother, and he was fishing with his own gear, and it was his brother, I think, that hooked the fish. He left his rod on the deck of the boat, and his lure snagged a rock, and his rod and reel went into the water, and this dude jumped into the river to go after his stuff. Oh my God. He jumped off my boat like a diving board. I could not believe it.
That's insane. I
wasn't happy about it. Yeah. I mean, the water was real clear too, so we would have been able to get it regardless. But yeah, he jumped off my boat.
Oh my God! What? Jeez. And again, like people will do crazy things. Like that's insane. I remember I think you told me like one story that like some people are just completely just crazy. Like you don't know what type of person you're gonna get when they step on the boat. And we'll just leave it at that. Like it's
yeah. I also a couple years ago we had a water snake, a northern water snake. It was swimming towards the boat, and if you don't get them if you don't shoo them away from the boat, they almost seem like they want to climb in because they get to the first hard piece of structure or rock or shoot even a boat, and they just like, oh, let me come up there and hang out. And I went to swat at it with the tip of my rod, and I had a popper on there. And of course, I wasn't catching anything with the popper, but when I went to do that with the swat at the snake with the tip of the rod, the popper snagged it.
Oh no!
And then it wrapped around the tip of my rod.
Oh God, that's
I almost thought about throwing my rod and reel into the water. And he unwrapped himself. I cut the line real quick, and he swam about 50 yards over to the shoreline with a popper stuck in his back.
At least your clients didn't jump into the drag to get away from
Yeah,
it.
no, that's one of my fears is fishing and then looking back and there's a snake on the boat. I've had squirrels climb on before.
I've had a water moccasin come into the boat before. I've had a couple of water snakes. I had a river otter too, believe it or not, way back in the day. It was I forget where we launched from. It was either Point of Rocks or it was White's. It was Ferry back in the day. But anyway, but we were fishing and there was a river otter and it just swam up to the back of the boat and it just climbed right in the damn thing. It was the craziest thing. But I mean, there used to be river otters. I haven't seen as many of them nowadays. But yeah, back in the day, there were a bunch of river otters down there.
There's quite a few out there. I see them in the Monocacy River too. And I see a lot of them. I see them. They seem to be more active and visible when the water's colder for some reason. I've seen them in the middle of the winter just swimming around like it's like the water's 80 degrees.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool. No, because you don't see a lot of them anymore. I mean, one last thing, the Monocacy. Let's touch on that real quick before we let you go here. Yeah, I mean, like that's something that you've really opened my eyes to is the ability to fish the Monocacy River. And I know you were talking about it's a little bit swollen right now. It's got a little chalk to the watercolor. How is the Monocacy though right now fishing in general, the past 4 weeks, let's say? People have been telling me it's good. I mean, I've fished down by the mouth and up to about Route 28, but the times I go up, it's just not, it just wasn't good. But further north, Devil Bliss, like Devil Bliss Road, those areas, from what I understand, are supposed to be pretty good. Can you get a boat up in there right now? Probably like a kayak, but not a jet boat. Not a jet. Is that more like if you were going to fish it with the jet, is there a time of year that you can really actually hit that thing? Yeah, it would be in the wintertime. The wintertime is
because the
usually
water will come up high. If the water comes up high, it'll stay clear because the cold water, and you
gotcha.
can run way up into the Monocacy.
Okay. Okay. Good deal. That's
You got
awesome.
to have a game plan though when you go in there, because you just don't want to run up there blind and not have spots to fish.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a lot smaller too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Narrow.
it's not very wide at all. I'd say most places are 50 yards wide, maybe.
Okay. Okay. And guys, yeah, I mean, again, please leave a comment down below, like and subscribe to Jeff. Follow him on Facebook. He's got a website. Everything will be linked in the episode description down below. Yeah, Jeff, again, thank you so much for coming on, giving
Yeah.
us the State of the Union of the Susquehanna and Upper Potomac. Is there anything else that we need to touch on?
No, just please check out my the SWFA baittackle.com. Everything that I have on there is I've kind of done the work for you. I mean, that's what you're going to catch fish with. There's no guessing. Will this do it? Will that do it? What I have there is it's tried and true. It works.
Okay, good deal, guys. And again, everything will be linked in the episode description. This thing is going to be relaunched tomorrow morning. The live stream will be taken down once we're done here, and then you'll be able to watch the podcast or the YouTube version tomorrow morning. So again, Jeff, Shallow Water Adventure Fishing, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you coming on. Be safe tomorrow morning, sir.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Take care, everyone.
All right, there you guys. There you have it. So I'm going to answer some questions in the comment section down below. If you guys have anything else you want to talk about tonight, I'm still here. I still know one or two things, not as much as Jeff though, but I still know my way around a rod. Let's see what we got here. We got a few more questions to answer, and let's see. Andrew, you answered a ton of freaking questions. Oh, my goodness. Yellow line of truth. Let's get back up here. Andrew, Andrew, are you a bot? My goodness, you are just freaking everywhere. Jeff is the man. We got Andrew again. I've been waiting every day up near Point of Rocks. Point of Rocks is a fantastic place to be able to actually get out there and wade. We also got the line truth. Daniel, question. We actually got this one answered, which is the Millville Dam area. You can actually fish above Millville Dam too. I actually fished above there 3 weeks ago for that kayak tournament. I actually fished right up above there, and that whole section right through there you can fish, but you can't really wade it very much. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. Let's see, we got, where is it here? There it is. What rod action? So yeah, Bobby Brown, what type of rod action? What type of rod are you talking about? Are you talking about a bait caster or a spinning rod? So I'm assuming you're talking spinning rod. Generally, it depends on the brand. I fish a lot of St. Croix, Loomis. Why I call it Gloomis? I have no idea. Gloomis. Loomis. I also fish a lot of Phoenix rods, and it depends on the make and the model. So an example is with a Phoenix rod. A medium rod there is going to fish more like a medium light, whereas a St. Croix, a medium heavy, is going to fish a lot like a extra heavy rod. So really need to keep it in mind on the brand that you're dealing with. If you're fishing for just smallmouth and you want a pure smallmouth setup, you can get away with a medium action rod as long as it has a little bit stiffer back and an extra fast tip. But the problem is that rod's not going to really translate as well, in my opinion, to doing largemouth bass fishing. So if I'm using a wacky rig setup for green fish on the tidal Potomac, I like a rod with a little bit more backbone, like a medium heavy style rod. Or let me rephrase this again. It will probably be out as a medium heavy style rod. And that is the perfect type for the green ones, because you can use about 14-pound braid. You can go with a 10-pound leader. You can flick it into the brush around the grass edges, and you can actually pull them out of there. You don't need as much of that heavy backbone when you're dealing with smallmouth on the river, especially since you're also going to be doing a lot smaller baits. So I do think in general, a medium is perfectly fine, but the little asterisk there, check the brands, because I think you'd be amazed if you pick up 6 different brand medium rods. Some will be a little bit heavier than others, and some will be a little bit lighter than others. And I know I'm trying to be, I'm being a little vague, but I don't want to steer you down the wrong path. That truly the rod manufacturers are very important. And I challenge everyone, am I wrong? you can have 6 different brands of rods, and they all have a little different feel to them. So I highly suggest you just go out there, go to the store. Jake's Bait and Tackle located in Winchester, Virginia is a good place. Bass Pro Shop, Gander Mountain, and pick up a couple rods and feel them. A light rod is fine. A medium action rod is fine as long as it's not a medium light. Do not get a medium light. If you get a medium light, depending on the type of hook you use, you are not going to get penetration into their mouths. That's something that's very, very important. The hook and the rod are extremely important. It is just like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Father in this instance is the rod. Okay. The Holy Spirit is going to be the hook. And then the other part of the cross, because I don't go to church very much, that's going to be your line size. So that's your church lesson for today. If your rod is too light and your hook diameter is too thick, you're not going to be able to puncture their mouth. Those two things are very, very important. So if you want to go with a medium light rod or an ultra light setup, you have to make sure that your hook is tailored to that. So when you lean into them, you're going to be able to get that hook to penetrate. And that's why, like with 4-pound test, 2-pound test, I can fish that, because in that sense, I am using a medium light, more of like a BFS setup type of rod. So I can actually lean into them. Let's see. We got, for smallies, I use my BFS setup. I love it. Yeah, damn it, guys. I don't have my rod. I'm so sorry. I usually have rods here with me, but they're all out in the boat because I've been doing a lot of like gearing up to actually get back out on the water and stuff in the boat. But I have my BFS rod. I have an ultralight BFS, actually an ultralight bait casting setup. It is the coolest thing ever. I can pitch and flip trout magnets and jack them. And it's just like, it's fun. Like when I go to work, I leave that rod in my car. And so there's any creeks, I'll just hit it just to kind of mess around. But that's like, it's a lot of fun to do the BFS stuff. I'm really kind of hooked on that. But Bob Browning, I really, really hope that answers your question there. Medium, go with a medium rods. It'll be perfect for what you want to do. Drag setup wise, the better the reel that you get, the easier to set the drag is. I generally think once you hook your first fish, this is kind of how I set up my drag, just to kind of pivot, just to kind of add to what Jeff was saying. After you catch your first fish, adjust the drag a little bit and kind of feel around with it. Just let that fish pull for a second and you can kind of dial it in. That to me is like really the best way to do it. Because I want to, when I set the hook, if I set the hook just a little too hard, the drag is going to start going. That really to me is like the perfect world. Have we talked? Here. Let's see this question first. Let's see. Great show. I think you can do one of these regular guest spots for the Shenandoah. Great. Yes. So I'm trying to find somebody that would actually like to do a monthly kind of like Shenandoah River fishing report, Daniel. And that's a really, really good question. That's something I'm looking to. If somebody would like to come on the show and actually talk about it, that'd be perfectly fine. But yeah, I think I'm going to try to get King Fishing Adventures on. He's a local guide service that does the Shenandoah River. I think we have him slated for August 1st, August 2nd, something around then. But yeah, we do have a Shenandoah River show coming for August. I'm trying to find somebody to kind of bridge the gap until then. But yes, Daniel, we are going to be trying to do that as well. Let's see the next question here. Matthew Cattell. Catletti, guys, basically I have a learning disability, so it's hard for me to like read apparently. Have we talked about your Shenandoah outing with Mr. Arvin yet? No, we have not. I'm kind of waiting for Mr. Arvin. We're gonna get him back on the show. I don't like to try to talk for people. So he's actually going to be coming back on the show in August. I think we're trying to set up like some August shows, and I'll be getting to that in a minute. But yes, we haven't talked about that yet. But yeah, we'll have Arvin, Mr. Arvin, the man, the myth, the legend, back on the show. Oh, by the way, huge shout out to him. He's actually selling his boat. I think he's going to be upgrading it here soon. So that's something. If you guys want a boat, please DM Mr. Arvin. So you can check out his aluminum boat. It's a really good rig for a really good price. But that's just something I want to kind of keep you in mind there. Completely agree with you on drag as well as differences of rods between manufacturers. Yeah, I mean, it's just something like, again, like I always thought it was that way. And then listening to Tactical Bassin, which guys, I mean, if getting back to the whole religion thing, like they are the high priest, not priestess, right? I said that wrong. They're the high priest when it comes to just tackle junkies. So whatever they say, that's the word of the Lord. Listen to them. But they really turned me on to like, oh yeah, different rods have different manufacturing setups for what they define as medium or medium light. And then my brain was like, dong, that's like that. Okay. That is a thing. So really keep that in mind. And that's the other thing too, is like, don't just like listen to me, go find other sources, go find other information. Like Tactical Bastion's fantastic. Like for swim baits, things of that ilk, they're really, really good. So just try to keep that in mind. Got a couple more questions. When it comes to Shenandoah River, yeah, like right now, I like a small fluke is really good. Nose hook, a small fluke right now. 8-pound test is all you need. You're going to go with a trick worm versus a Senko. That's my personal preference. Go with a trick worm. Like a 4-inch and a regular color, like a pumpkin seed or like a June bug. That's all you need. You can wacky rig it, or you can just Texas rig it and just let it go weightless. That's actually an extremely good way to actually fish it right now. We got, what do you think about, and this is Bob Browning. What do you think about the floating algae we are seeing on the upper Potomac below Harper's Ferry, more or less than years past? So we are trying to get somebody from the Department of Maryland and Wildlife Resources, or I guess for them, it might be the Maryland Department of Fish and Game. We have reached out to them, and we're trying to get somebody on the show to be able to talk about Maryland fishing opportunities and also the upper Potomac River. If you guys do not know, I know most of you do, but just in case for some new listeners, the upper Potomac River is a shared river between Maryland and Virginia, but Maryland kind of owns it, and so they're responsible for the river, specifically the upper Potomac and the tidal portion, and so it's technically their river. So I would love to talk to them more in detail about kind of their state of the union of the tidal and the upper Potomac. The algae, generally speaking, we do have an episode coming out with the Shenandoah River Keepers, and listening to them and kind of having this platform to talk to so many different really knowledgeable people that are way smarter than me. Having aquatic vegetation on the rivers is very important. The John Odenkirk episode really kind of opened my eyes to the fact that aquatic vegetation is extremely important to help prevent algae blooms. And I think on the upper Potomac, and I could be wrong, let me know in the chat, guys, if I'm completely wrong and if I'm off base here. The aquatic vegetation on the upper Potomac River could be better. And what I mean by that is like the standing stuff, the grasses, the standing grasses, not just like the hydrilla, things like that. And then we got Bob Browning, great news about the River Keepers coming up. Yeah, like that's a fantastic episode, and that's the one's really gonna be awesome. And that's what I'm trying to do. So, spoiler, I don't know if you guys know this. Spoiler right now, Fishing the DMV is actually going to ICAST in Florida next week. I am leaving next Monday, so there's not going to be podcast episodes, but there's going to be other content, and we are going to be pumping out a shit ton of ICAST content, a ton of it. It's going to be coming out next week. So that's a lot of fun. And that's why I'm saying like there's a lot of stuff coming out in August, because we're going down to ICAST, because I have to do that and balance all my scheduling and stuff. We had to space everything out. But we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. And guys, let me know in the comment section below. And I'm going to be posting about this as well. What do you want to see at ICAST? I want to go down to ICAST and bring back stuff that I feel like it would benefit people here and give you guys a first look. Like a saltwater boat. I mean, it might be something you want to see. If that's something you want to see, fine. But if you're fishing the Shenandoah River, that might not be what you want. So I want to make sure I can go down there and show you guys stuff that will actually catch fish here. But yeah, we're going down to ICAST. We're going to be able to network, but we're also going to be able to get our hands on some equipment that hopefully will help everyone here become better anglers, which is going to be a lot of fun. Let me see, get some more questions here. But no, this has been fun. And then, yeah, again, guys, like we hit over 1,000 subscribers already, which has been remarkable. I want to thank everyone so much for tuning in and to listening to my butt talk for not only these live streams, but all these fishing videos. And for the podcast. Like, this has been an amazing journey. Ever since we hit 1,000 subscribers, we've been averaging, I think, 10 subs per day. It's insane how much this channel is taking off now. And it's all thanks to really you guys for wanting to be a part of this crazy venture. But it's been an absolute fun times. Now, let me check over on the Facebook page. I do not want to go with radio silence now, but I got to check. Let's see, go up on the Facebook page here and see if there's anything new on that. All right, cool. So now there's nothing bad there. And perfect there. Sweet. So got a couple more questions. Do you have, all right, here we go. We got Matthew Cottle in the house. Do you have a preference on a 2.75 tube or a 3.5 for the Upper Potomac? Matthew, what is your goal? Is it to catch 5 big ones that'll win a tournament, or is it just to catch things? Let me know with that question down below, like what your vibe is. So generally speaking, the smaller you go, the more bites you're going to get. It just is. If you want to catch more, go down to something smaller. Like example is I can go with a trout magnet and I'll catch everything that swims. And that thing's like 1 inch long. So I'm just saying, like, that's something to really think about. Is if you're trying to go for the big ones, I would say start with a 3.5 because you can always downsize. Like that's so important, is going to the downsize. In a tournament that I fished, that was something that really, really helped. Was we started with a 2.0 square bill crankbait, and we were getting kind of a few bites, and then all of a sudden, it clicked, and my brother tied on a 1.0 square bill, and all of a sudden we started smoking them, and it was just that little bit of difference. It was literally the same bait, we just downsized it a little bit. So I really hope that answers your question. That if you're fishing the Upper Potomac, I would say start with a 3.5, and then depending on the way the river is laid out, your gut tells you downsize the 2.7, and you can go even smaller than that. You can go with the Z-Man Ned tube, which is just basically, it's a Ned rig style tube. I use that actually on my Hidden Gems video in Winchester. I use that bait specifically to get bit, and I did extremely well. And that thing's like, it might be 2.7. I think it might be 2 inches straight on the dot, but that's just something that might actually help you. Let's see. Oh, here, hey, Matthew, here we go. Here's a good question right here. Over the years, double dip tubes on the Upper Potomac, I've done much better in size and numbers on a 2.7, to where the Susky always seems to catch more of the 3.5. Just love hearing your thoughts. Yeah, I have a hypothesis on that there. I think it's twofold. I think one, I think it's the size of the bait that they're actually eating. And I think two, it's the generic size of the fish. Like, but I really think it's more about the bait they're eating. And here's why. When I was fishing the tournament, I could not get bit on I couldn't get bit on anything but a crankbait. And I know we talked about this already, but I was throwing a big freaking crankbait, big hot colors on it. And I was getting them to swallow it to the point that I was almost gut hooking them. That's a big bait. But generally speaking, besides that specific instance there, I usually can't get them to bite big, fast moving baits. Why? Now, the water was a little off colored there. And I know Chris and some other people have caught them on chatterbaits and stuff, and these are decent sized smallmouth. But besides that, why won't they hit the smaller things? I think it has to do with the Mad Toms and the Shiners. I don't think that there's the same size forage. When you go to Smith Mountain Lake, when you go to Lake Hartwell, Lake Murray, you can throw a 7-inch swim bait and you can have the smallest little dink just choke the thing. And you wonder, like, why would they hit that? And that's because that's specifically their forage species. And so if I had to pontificate on why that's the case, it's probably because they're matching the hatch. And that's what you're doing specifically well. Now, if I would still probably start out with a little bit bigger bait to see if it can kind of, but that's the other thing too. Like, if I'm fishing a hole, or let's say I'm fishing a big boulder in the middle of the Shenandoah or the Upper Potomac, and I know there's a good portion of smallmouth there. Here's the hypothetical question I have for you, Matthew, or just anybody in the chat. If you have a bunch of them there, if you start with that smaller bait, you're going to have to comb through a bunch of them to try to get to that bigger dog. If you're in a tournament, mind you, do you start with the smaller one and know you have to comb through them and try to get to that bigger one? Or are you going to start with a little bit bigger bait to hopefully get your bigger bite first? I know that's more of like a hypothetical question there, but yeah, that's just interesting stuff. Let's see. I got some more questions here. How are there only like 5? Come on, guys. New hidden gems? Question mark. Oh, so I'm in the process of doing Franklin Park, located in Purcellville, Virginia. Franklin Park, and there's also Red Rocks, which is in Leesburg, Virginia. Those are 2 places that I'm trying to do for hidden gems. Also, Goose Creek, that is located in Leesburg. I'm trying to figure out how to film that and shoot that to make good content. And I also want to do a C&O Canal special. I have them all in the works. I'm just trying to figure out, but I think I'm also going to do a catfish video. I really want to do hidden gems where it's not just bass fishing. It's also about other species too. And I'm hopefully going to get into some fly fishing this fall. I want to practice that because I think carp fishing with a fly rod is it looks fun. And it's a great way to feel a tug on the end of the line, and no one does it. So that's another hidden gem I want to do. So those are kind of the hidden gems I have in the works. I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to debut first. And it really is what I think will be hot now. And so I'm really thinking it's going to be probably Franklin Park or Goose Creek. I'm thinking that's probably my vibe right now of the next hidden gem. And that should be launching here in the next couple of weeks or so. I take more time with the hidden gems because it's not about just pumping out the content. I really want to tell a story and really make sure that I highlight the fishery. It shouldn't be about me catching the fish. It should be about highlighting the fishery and the opportunities there, because I know how much death threats I get from like burning spots when I do it and stuff. So, I want to make sure I do it correctly. But that's a good question, sir. Can you cover the new Z-Man products at iCast? Those panfish baits look great. Yes, Daniel, I will. Yeah, write that down right now to cover Z-Man and Z-Man products. Yeah, absolutely. No, that'd be good. Okay, Z-Man products done. Do you guys like catfishing? Do you guys like snakehead fishing? What type of other content would you see or other people you want to bring on? I posted that thing on Facebook, and I was really pleased with the kind of responses you guys gave me. I really liked it, where people wanted actually to have other things like snakehead and catfish and things of that ilk. I am talking to this guy to try to get him to come on the show. He's going to talk about catfish, which would be really cool. Just to give it a little bit of flavor, a little bit of variety, which I think it really is the spice of life. We got another good one here. Daniel N. I've walked down Goose Creek. Might need a paddle board. I'd be down to go with you. Daniel, absolutely. I'll hit you up. I'm trying to figure out the float and everything just from a recording video standpoint. Like it's the issues. Like you want to make sure you have all your cameras up. You understand your storyboard, all that other stuff. But absolutely, I'm down. Goose Creek is underrated because it goes through the middle of a city. And I think that's the reason the Upper Potomac could become better than Susquehanna easily. If it actually is taken care of correctly, if they actually put enough forage in there, if it balances out with all the flathead coming in, I think the Upper Potomac could become ballin' in a couple of years. Because the other opinion is because it's so close to big cities, I don't think people fish it. I think it's such a weird psychology. It's like a couple of the ponds, like my last Hidden Gems video I did with the pond in Round Hill. It's right there. It's obvious, but because it's so obvious, people overlook it. And so I think that's what happens with the Upper Potomac a lot of times is you have Ashburn right there, you have Leesburg, and that's getting super developed right now. And so people look at the river and they think about floating it and paddleboarding it, but they don't think about like this is a fishing mecca. And so I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it too. So let me know what you guys think. I also want to shoot a Hidden Gems on Antietam Creek to do a whole historical back. I'm actually working on the script for that now. I kind of like to write the script first and then go shoot and then edit the script. So I'm writing the script for Antietam because I really want to talk about the history of Antietam because it's a Civil War battlefield and talk about that. And then also talk about the fishing opportunities in Antietam Creek. So that's a cool one, but that's going to be more of like a fall video release once I get like my drone and kind of get the film together and edit it together. So that'll be kind of cool with that one. So yeah, so hopefully that answers the questions on the Hidden Gems and hopefully that answers the question on Daniel. Yeah, I guess the other thing about fishing this time of year, and I kind of leave you guys with these thoughts here. It's warm and there's going to be a lot of pressure and you just got to think outside the box. This time of year, people, everyone you see, they go do saltwater. A lot of my good friends that I know, they put down the bass rods, they go for the snakeheads, they go offshore fishing, they go for stripe or cobia stuff, but you can still catch them. You really can. You just got to outthink them. You have a lot of people going out now. They're fishing in the evenings. That middle of the day can be extremely hot. If you don't have a lot of vegetation, mats where you can frog fish, don't think about the middle of the day. Think about going with an evening bite, nighttime fishing. Get up a little bit earlier. Go wade some creeks. Like this is the best time of the year to go fish creeks. If you want more information on that, like I have a podcast episode with Creek Fishing Adventures, really fun, or go just listen to Creek Fishing Adventures channel. Dude is balling. I think he hit 120,000 subs. So huge shout out to him. But there's tons of creeks you can go wade. Go do that. Go have some fun out there. Like there are places that you can go out and fish and have fun. And if your pond is completely matted over with vegetation, don't worry about that. ponds in this time of year, they're hit or miss. The pond I was talking about in Round Hill, it gets completely matted with milfoil, and so it's very hard to fish it correctly. But come the fall, once that stuff starts to die back, that place will be banging again. So it's just to think about the things go in cycles. Go to some places that are probably off the beaten path, but you can still have success and have fun with it. And that's the thing. It's this time of year, long evenings. You can be out there at 8 o'clock at night. Dude, it's freaking awesome. Let's see. I think a little pool may need another video. Oh my goodness. The amount of hate I get from doing like those videos, it's intoxicating. Like how many people hate it when I went to Little Pool and did that video. I want to do Little Pool again, and I'm thinking about doing a hidden gem episode for that, where it's just pickerel. Like I would love to actually fish pickerel. They're just so cool. Like I caught one in like so anyway, if you guys go watch the hidden gems episode, I actually caught a pickerel, and I was dropping a load in my pants because I really thought like I just hooked a muskie on a spinning reel. I feel it, but it's just a big pickerel. And I was like, you know what, that'd be really cool. I want to do a pickerel episode and just go out and try to catch as many pickerel as possible because that's fun. You know, this channel shouldn't just be about bass fishing, even though, you know, we all love that a lot, but there's a lot of other cool species out there. But yeah, I will be going back to Little Pool. Just want to do a rotation. Dude, if you look at this map right behind me here, there are so many little hidden gems, whether it's for trout fishing, catfishing, or bass in this area. When you count West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, the Outer Banks, or not the Outer Banks, the Ocean Shore, the Chesapeake Bay, there's so many places that you haven't heard of. And I want to like go there and just shoot a video that talks about that place, just so other people can kind of experience it too. So that's kind of the plan with this channel, besides the podcast, is to do these hidden gems where we can open these places up and show them. But I want to make sure they're informative and just not me catching fish for an hour. Because I think that's boring. But if you guys don't think it's boring, you know, just let me know. But yeah, absolutely. Let's see. West Virginia fishermen. You ever fish sleeters across from Round Hill Pond? So that's where I grew up. And actually, I'm going to share a screen. I'm going to show you some of the fish that I've caught out of there because, yeah, I grew up there. So back in the day when I was a young laddie and there wasn't all them houses built up and all the progress, there was no houses on that lake. And there was this lady called Mrs. Barker. And Mrs. Barker lived on one of the creek arms and she had a boat ramp. And my brother at the time, who was younger than me, so he's about 10 years old, went up to her and said, "Please, ma'am, could you give us permission to fish this place? It would make our lives amazing." And she gave us a boat slip, a little piece of paper that said we were allowed to fish there. And we were able to launch our aluminum tracker onto that place. And because of that, we had permission and we were able to fish that place all the freaking time. And that basically just kind of made our life. So let's go right here. And to show you what type of fish are in there. There you go. So this one right here is one that my brother caught from Sleeter's Lake back in the day. That one, I think, went for like 7 to 8 pounds, like out of Sleeter's Lake. Yeah, that's like early spring. Like if you really want to kick butt there, there are multiple times, but just to catch the biggest pounds is really that first push of warm weather in early spring. But yeah, that one right there was an absolute bawling tank that he just freaking like, someone's so big. I caught one too that's pretty big. I don't even know if I have a picture of that one though. But that one right there is a freaking just tank. And then let's see. Here. This one right here is this one was 9.5. Oh crap. This one right here was like 9.5 pounds. I caught him out of that pond I did my last hidden gems in, believe it or not. That pond in Round Hill. You can see the all the grass actually in the background. And I was like one of the first people, I think, in the area to adopt fishing big swim baits, those bluegill swim baits. And you know he's getting close to 9-10 pounds when the eyes are starting to bulge out of their dang head. Like that's a no bleep indicator. Like, yep, that thing's pushing 10 pounds. But that was like caught out of that pond. That's like there's so much good fishing right there. This one here, this was the pond in Winchester again. This one here was about 5.5, 6 pounds. And probably closer to 5. I don't want to exaggerate too much, but I was caught out of Winchester. And that thing is it's freaking awesome. And then I did catch a 9. Where is it? I don't even know if I have it on here because it was so long ago. I think it's this one here. Like I caught these 2 studs. We did end up, I'll find the photo. It's an old photo because it's before like iPhones and stuff, just trying to date myself a little bit. But we did catch 23 pounds out of there one time out of Sleater's Lake. We caught 23 pounds. That's how good it is. And even with all the boat traffic and all that kayak traffic, my apologies, that there is now, and there is access that you can actually go there. It's a balling place, and there's good vegetation. When there's vegetation in there, it's even better. There's good crappie fishing in there, and there's no catfish. I've never caught a catfish. I fished that thing since I was basically 15, and I never caught a catfish out of there, which is the weirdest thing. I don't understand that. But this is not about just all these pictures of me catching fish. I don't even know. Do I even have? I don't have that big one. I don't. That's so crazy. Let's see. And then we got, oops, sorry. So yeah, no, good stuff there. Let's see. Sleater's has a public boat ramp now. West Virginia fishermen. It has a public kayak ramp. My apologies. I want to get that straight so I don't get yelled at in the comment section. But yeah, there's a public kayak place that you can go to. I think it is open. Do not quote me on this. I think it opens in March and goes until like November. That you have a public kayak ramp. Or I think what you can do is pimp out a John boat that you put in your like the back of your truck, and put wheels on it. And then you could just pull it out and drag it down there. And that could work too, as long as nobody sees you. But that is something else that you could possibly do too. But no, it's still a really, really nice little pond. Lake. I'm sorry. It's a lake. Technically, it's probably a lake. I forget that. What is the heck is a lake versus a pond? Or a pond? I don't know. Like, could you have a lake that's actually a pond? There's got to be some Google. I got to check it. There's some Google definition for like what size is what for that. You know what? Actually, let's do that right now before we end for the day. Because I'm actually really curious about that. What is the difference between a pond and a lake? All right. So Google says that basically, let's see here. Lakes are normally much deeper than ponds and have a large surface area. All the water in a pond is the photic zone, meaning ponds are shallow enough to allow sunlight to reach the bottom. That causes plants, sometimes too many, to grow at the bottom of a pond. So that was not helpful at all on what the difference is. So Google says really absolutely nothing about surface area, which is interesting because I thought it would be like acreage. Like if it's under like 5 or 6 acres, it would be a pond. If it's above that, it'd be considered a lake. So honestly, Franklin Park, the pond there, which is like 3 acres, that could be considered technically a lake, I guess, which makes no freaking sense to me at all. Like why that would be a thing. But I guess that's the thing too. I didn't even know that. What was I talking about? Oh, so yeah, anyway, Sleater's Lake is good. That's kind of like my point. So Sleater's Lake is good. Goose Creek is really good too. Conicajig Creek is really good. Antietam Creek is really good. There's tons of creeks around here and tons of trout fishing too. But there's a lot of good places, and there's a lot of ponds down 81 that I want to hit too. Winchester's Pond we're gonna hit again too. I'm gonna do a video on the on frog fishing on the tidal upper. That'd be impressive, wouldn't it? The tidal Potomac. I'm also doing a secret video on the tidal Potomac about how to fish there too. But then there's also guys that are just smarter than me that I'll just have on the show and have them talk versus like listening to my butt talk about it. Cause there's way, way smarter people that know about that stuff. And that's the thing too. It's just about learning, let's learn from people that know what they're talking about and just learn their mindset. Cause that's what's so much fun is getting into their heads. Like when they win a tournament, like, well, what made you make that decision? I fished that kayak tournament myself and I was kind of close, but even if I made all those right decisions, I wouldn't have won the thing. I would have maybe top 10, maybe, but I wouldn't have actually won it. And I think that just came down to just bad decisions on where to start to fish that day. I shouldn't have fished where I did. And I think that's just very interesting, like how important all that stuff is. And making those quick decisions, because like we can all go out there on a Friday night and just jack them. But to win a tournament, you just need to make all those perfect decisions all the time. And that to me is just always interesting. Like, how you do that. How does a Brandon Polinick always execute the way he does? Like it's baffling, but he makes those quick second decisions. And he also makes the decisions to just go fish. I'll always remember when he was fishing the COVID year that he went down to the Santa Cooper River or Santa Cooper Reservoir in the Carolinas. And it was in September, late September, I think it was. And it was the last day and his pattern dried up. And he just looked at the cameras like, I'm just going to go fishing. And he just went to this area and found a brush pile. Like, oh, look at that. There's a brush pile there. He picked up a drop shot, I think it was, and he threw it into the tree. Boom. And it was like a 6-7 pounder that he caught. And it's like, how do you have the guts, I guess, to be able to listen to your gut and to be like with $100,000 on the line and not knowing what to do, to be like, I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to treat this like I'm just fishing with a friend. Just we're going to go out there and figure stuff out. Like, to me, that's always so freaking cool, because when you do that, you have success. And my brother and I have done that in the past. I've done it sometimes in a tournament, but it's hard to get into that zone, if you will, and have the ability to do that. But when you do it, look out, boys. You're freaking gonna wreck them. Absolutely wreck them. So yeah, I hope really all that helped. I got a couple more questions here. Oh, well, let's see. One last question. Where in the Susquehanna can you fish? You can fish so up where I'm actually located as of now is in Williamsport, Maryland. So you can fish the Susquehanna Canal there. There's stretches there. There's stretches in Hancock you can fish as well. But there's a lot more of the Susquehanna Canal towards DC on the Maryland side that's available to fish. The thing is with the canal, though, and I don't know about closer to DC. I'm talking about where we are here. Because it's shallow and there's a lot of sunlight penetration, it can get very weedy. And so it does limit the types of baits that you can throw. When it comes to what's there's tons of bluegill in these canal systems, tons of bluegill. So it'd be fun to take a kid fishing. It'd be a lot of fun. Don't know about the bass situation. Some pieces they might have more, but for the most part, the canal system, it's not going to be a place you're going to catch the biggest fish of your lifetime. Little Pool is a good place on that side, and you can also do Big Pool. I haven't had a lot of success in, and I think when we had Mr. Chris Arvin on, he talked about Big Pool back in the day being better than it is now, and it's kind of like gone by the wayside a little bit. But yeah, so hopefully that helps. Oh, and there's also not Priory, Sleepy Creek and near Berkeley Springs. That's another good place that I need to go. Oh my God, I know this story. So I took the Ranger, my big rig there, last fall to shoot a video before I had to hop on a plane to go get married. And oh my God, that is sketchy as heck, because that thing is like a gravel road up the side of a mountain. It's like a donkey path. It is insane. And I took this big fiberglass boat just up one side and down the other side of the mountain. And I was like, I could die today. Like, it just felt sketchy. You get back there though, and that place is beautiful. Like, that reminded me so much of Florida, that place. Like, it is amazing. Just the vegetation, how it sets up. It's like deep and weedy. It's a different type of weedy. Like it's Florida type of weedy, and it's beautiful and amazing kind of stuff there. Roger Merritt. I am close to Williamsport here. Small world. Yep, I am. I'm near the Conica Jig, so I could be to Williamsport in about, I don't know how long you can hold your breath, like that long. But I also right now I still work in Loudoun County. I grew up in Loudoun County. I'm from Loudoun County. I'm a Loudoun County boy. Loudoun County, Virginia, near Hillsborough, Percival, that type of area there. So I still commute in there for my, I guess, normal job right now. So I'm always there. So if people wonder, like, well, if you're in Maryland, how are you gonna, like, that's why. It's because I basically split time between the both places. So I'm always around this area fishing. And then we're gonna be making trips. I'm making a trip. Oh yeah, shoot. Someone mentioned about hidden gems. So we are setting up a fun fishing challenge / hidden gems episode in August with Marty Lawson and Shane Flint Outdoors. I think it's the first weekend in August we're doing that with them. So huge shout out to those guys. But I'm going to go down there. We're going to fish all those electric motor only lakes down near the Fredericksburg, Richmond area, because there's a ton of water down there. So we're going to be doing that. Yeah, but perfect world, we'll get this channel big enough to where we can actually do big road trips and go hit all these small, cool bodies of water and creeks and stuff and just highlight them. It's so cool how many opportunities there are out there, but you got to find them. You got to look. And for the most part, you just get out Google Maps, get out your Google map, look around there, see if there's something there, and then go fish it and try it. And then you'll be surprised that it's pretty like obvious, but no one actually hits it. No one actually hits it at all. Pond light reaches the bottom. Yeah, that's kind of when I Googled it, Daniel. That's what they said. Like a pond, it's a pond if the light can actually reach the bottom. It's a lake if it's deep enough where light can't hit the bottom. So I don't believe that. I'll probably Google that later tonight just to double check, because Google can be wrong sometimes too. That's something to kind of keep in mind there. And then, what did you guys think about the last week? I kind of want to get that vibe. So last week, I was lucky enough. I had 2 really cool interviews. I had Jarrett Martin, who is a friend of mine. I'll call him a friend or a rival. Maybe we'll do that. Back when I fished with those people with Shenandoah University, and they were from Adrian College. And Jarrett is one of the best fishermen I know. He's got a natural talent. Him and Nolan Miner are freaking, like, they can whisper. They can talk to him. I can't talk to them. I'm too dyslexic for that. But they're really, really good anglers. And he won the Super BFL last year on the Potomac. And I think that was a really cool story, how he fished the Potomac a bunch, and each time he fished it, like a qualifier, and then the National College Championship, and then he finally cracked a win with the BFL. And to hear about black crayfish, that's something that Jared Martin talked about in that podcast episode, which you guys should probably go listen to. That how the crayfish were actually, like, had a black color to them, and that's why he could throw a black frog, and he was successful. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then we had the Toyota Northern Potomac River champion, $60,000 in the pocket. That dude, and he's from Florida. That dude is freaking awesome. So he drives up from Florida. He comes up here and he kicks butt. First time he ever saw the Potomac River. And so we were able to get him on the show too, which was freaking awesome, to actually have him wanting to come on the show. I was shocked that he came on. But he's a good guy. He's really good. He's really intelligent, really polished. I love his passion. And also the things that we talked about that weren't just about the Potomac River with him. The one thing was talking about the grass killing in Florida. It's to get it from a Floridian, like a real guy that lives there, where he's like, yeah, how we kill grass down here is the state contracts it out, and they pay them for how much they spray. So they pay them per gallon of pesticides. And so that's why there's this oversaturation of grass killing down in Florida, is because they privately contract people to kill it by the gallon. So they just dump gallons of pesticide in all those Florida places and in the Everglades and all that, just to kill all the grass. And it's almost like they're overdoing it, which is probably not the healthiest thing. But if my channel gets big enough where people care about me enough, I would like to get somebody on from Florida Fish and Game to kind of talk about that a little bit. I think that's a really cool issue to talk about. It's like, hey, people think that you're killing the whole ecosystem. Do you have anything to comment about that? I did a cool little video that talks about, like, the manatees that are dying. There's a huge manatee kill off the last 3 years because there's so much stuff dumping into the water that it's actually killing the grass in the ocean. Like, all the eelgrass beds are dying off, and I think it's because of pesticides, among other things. So I think that's a pretty interesting thing to be looking at too. Let's see, Matthew Carter. That was an awesome show. Myself and Arvin fished a Potomac teams tournament the same day, and it was tough. It was for sure tough. Yeah, it was interesting. Like, he was talking about, like, how he was rotating between, I quote me on this, but it's like Mattawoman, Aquaquant, no, a Quantico. Everything has a qua on these creeks. It's really freaking annoying. It was, yeah, Quantico and Chick, and just rotating them. And that really shows me about grass, because it's so funny. And this is what I love about doing this too, is Jarrett talked about being from Ohio, that he likes fishing wood. He's a wood guy. And he likes to fish hardcover. But Harry, he's a grass guy because he's from Florida. And what's so funny is both of them won doing kind of what they like. Now, granted, Jarrett, he won fishing grass in his tournament, but every other tournament he's fished on the Potomac, he's finished extremely high, doing milk runs and running wood. In the College National Championship 2019, he was running docks and wood patterns. That was really interesting to me. And then you have Harry, who's just fishing grass, and he's being successful. But the key was he was doing something a little different. And like what he talked about with grass, like, it's just you got to fish slowly through the grass and find the juice. And once you find the juice, you're set. And it's just something a little bit different. Yeah, Matthew, I think it was the Chick too. Yeah, you're right, the Chick. And he even said that too. Yeah, you're right. It was a Chick that he finally rotated to. And the Chick, I've cashed that trophy right there, that FLW trophy, that one right there was cashed in the Chick. The other one was cashed. I think that's a Mattawoman trophy. That could have been the Mattawoman. I don't know. Anyway, Both of those were catching 2 different creeks on the Potomac River. But yeah, so like, but he just found something a little different too, which was really, really interesting to me. And how I think he mentioned something about the grass laying down, which was really, really key, and long casts, which, yeah, like spoilers. That's why spinning gear is so good. I'll keep harping on that till the cows come home. Now I can outfish you with spinning gear, even throwing heavy stuff. Like I can. Anyway, that's a topic for another day about power fishing spinning gear. I don't give up all the juice tonight about that. But I thought that was like really cool because you can pick up on so many like neat little things from all these guys. And then I want to have Steve Traconis on the show again in August. That's happening too, to kind of get a state of the tidal Potomac River as well. And who else do you guys want me to have on? Like, let me know if there's somebody that you think I should try to have on the show so I can kind of get them on here while I'm shooting these Hidden Gems episodes and doing those things like that. Because yeah, like I just want to keep providing content. Ken Penrod, I want to get him on the show. That'd be cool too, because I want to go fish some more. Like I want to actually get out there and fish some lakes, not just rivers. But we'll get there. We'll get there with that too. But anyway, guys, I think we're gonna end her right there, so I'm not just rambling like a complete moron all night. Thanks again. Please like and subscribe to the channel. This will be uploaded tomorrow morning, and we'll see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye, guys.